So, I think self-esteem is one of the elements that a lot of young people struggle with as they're going through adolescence, as they're growing into their bodies, into their personalities, into their sense of self. And I do think self-esteem is a topic that should be tackled by families, by parents, by schools, conversationally. First of all, recognizing that it is a struggle for all. I think there's a lot of young people who feel like they're the only ones that when they look in the mirror, they don't like what they see. But in reality, self-esteem can be a struggle at all ages. I just think with younger people, maybe they feel it a little bit more deeply or they respond to it a little bit more intensely. So being able to have those conversations with our youth where they recognize that it's part of growing up, where you grow up and you begin to love yourself and love how you look and love, every part of you, not because it's perfect, but because it's you. And being able to kind of anchor that to a bigger idea, a bigger concept. We often talk about, faith being an integral part of wellness, and a faith anchor for some people, it may be a spiritual identity, a connection to a community, an organized religion. It could be for some people a connection to something that just feels bigger than themselves, nature, family, a higher power. But instilling in our youth a sense of self that's not anchored just to the self. So guiding our youth to understand that the world is not just about them. And if they wake up in the morning and they look in the mirror and they have a pimple, it is not the end of the world, that there is something bigger, that there is something, out there in the world that is more meaningful than this moment in which they may feel like, oh, I hate the way my nose looks, or I don't like, how I look in this outfit, or I gained weight, or I lost weight, or whatever it is. Guiding our youth away from that self-centric concept, which sometimes is almost hammered into them because we live in such an individualistic world. We live in a social mediated world where there's a lot of like self talk. So broadening the horizon, allowing our youth to see themselves as one part of a much bigger whole, to avoid fixating on the visual of how they look, and to really dig a little bit deeper into who they are, and to have a faith anchor, something that defines their purpose and their life in a way that's just much bigger than just how they see themselves in that moment.